Hello, good morning, and welcome to another episode of the TechTrends Podcast. It's always exciting to better sit down and talk about devices because, as you all know, when not really first started TechTrends as a platform, we used to really cover devices as our key focus. So when you sit down with people like you or just any other person talk about devices in the team or anywhere, it's always very exciting. So, welcome to the episode, Ryan, for the second time.
Thank you. When were we here last? March, April?
Yes, I think when we were talking about the S25 and Galaxy A and all those, and we were here to talk about the S series.
Yeah, well, half the year is gone.
Yes, half the year is gone. Yeah. Almost Christmas approaching. First, let us know who is Ryan. I know you've done the intro before in a previous episode, but it's good. Let's just set the pace. Tell us who you are and what you do at Samsung.
Great. So I'm Ryan, as you've introduced. Thanks for actually having us on board again. Yeah. I serve as a product manager at Samsung Electronics, looking after the smartphones, tablets, and wearables product line, and also a bit to do with what we're calling enterprise solutions, which I know we'll talk about a bit later for managing these devices in corporate spaces. So that's what I do. I love technology, amongst many other things. And I'm always happy to have these conversations with you.
All right. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you very much for just spending time and joining us, in the episode. As I always tell the team, Samsung is always one of our biggest partners. We really worked with Samsung for so many years. They are very good friends of TechTrends, the company, as a platform. But for this episode, I really want us to talk about the star of the show. Trust me, these days you walk out there, everyone's talking about the Galaxy A series, the new Galaxy A series to be specific. So you're talking about the A26, A36, and A56. I was just telling you, our friend that actually used the Galaxy A56 myself, which is what we're using for the wide angle shot. Yeah. And trust me, wow, it's probably one of the best mid-range phones I've used. From of course I used the previous A series, but the A56 has to be one of my favorite that I've used actually since I started using the A series devices. So, what is so new about this series?
Yeah, so I think first of all, I'm happy you've had a good experience with that. So just taking you back a bit into the A series. So of course, with our product line, we have the Z or Z. If you're in the States, it's a Z. Then we have S. Then we have A. Now within A, we have this mid to higher segment phones, which is now the A26, A36, A56. They were preceded, of course, with the previous models. And then lower range, entry level, we have some other A models. So personally, but for context as well, I've been an A user for quite some time. While I've been in and out of Samsung. I was previously on A55. I've used the A56 for the past 4 or 5 months or so, as I was telling you. So the new A series, and last time I was here, I remember when we were having the discussion about S25 and how S25 has really revolutionized AI features on a smartphone. I did mention to you that we were actually working on progressively adding more AI features into our other range of our lineup, and that's exactly what we've done. That's now one of the new big things with this new series. So some of the features that we have on the S line as regards to AI, so of course there's Circle to Search, which is of course powered by Google, but also things like the object eraser that you got on the S25. So you take a shot and you want to crop out something or someone, it's now on the A series. On the A56 in particular, you even have the auto trim feature that we have on the S25, where you could take a video and it will actually, using the power of AI, it will pick out the highlight sections of that video and then edit that video for you. So some of those are the AI features we've brought in. Most of them are actually centered around the camera experience and content creation. So we've not given you everything AI as you would get on the flagship, but we have already started to trickle that down. But of course, again, in terms of design, I think you've used the A56. It's a really sleek phone. And I've got them here with me. So I've got the A26 there. Then you've got the A36 right there. and then you've got the granddaddy, the big daddy, the A56. Yeah. But now if you look at the design language of these phones, these are really premium looking phones.
And they almost look the same actually.
Yeah.
So that design language
exactly
is stuck to both the devices.
It starts to trickle down. And that's a really important thing for us. So when I was using the A56, and I really used it even without the cover, just drove it fully. Everyone would ask me, what S phone is that? And it makes sense, because if you look at my S25 Plus and you look at this, the design language is almost similar. Not exactly the same, because you can see the camera housings are a bit different. But of course, we've improved the design. So what you're getting with the new A series from the A26 to 56 is beyond value for money. You're getting a really well-designed phone, a really sturdy, strong phone. And you're also getting that AI experience now coming into a more affordable price point for you. Yeah,
because actually the F56, which actually I'm using currently as my daily driver, is really giving me, a flagship experience. What let me say, a little bit get on the S, or even the AI feature you're talking about. I'm still getting on the F56. Yeah.
So that's part of the experience. Again, also, if you look at even in terms of the displays, we've now harmonized the display sizes up to 6.7 inches. Yeah. So what we are saying is there's a space for these phones for certain types of users and even certain types of budgets. There might be users who are not necessarily really high-level power users who might not opt for an S phone, but they want something that still is capable, still has a really premium design and look and feel, and has good cameras. So they will go into the A range. So that's how we've actually segmented it. Then there'll be those like me who maybe we're a bit more of a power user, so we find that maybe we want a bit more from the device. So for me, when I switched from the A56 to the S25 Plus, I wanted more of the Galaxy AI features that are exclusive on the S series. But without saying that's necessarily, it wasn't really necessary, but it was just a personal preference. So yes, you're able to get pretty much a pretty holistic Galaxy experience out of this phone. So now we're shooting with the A56, and the cameras actually have been really improved and optimized. I know a lot of people go into megapixel counts, but they don't realize also we make improvements to the image sensors. So the image sensors are much bigger on these cameras. And then also on like the A56 that we're using, it's capable of video HDR as well. So for those who are into photography and videography, when I say video HDR, you know the implication of that as well. So a really well-rounded package across the range.
I started this when maybe some might think I'm trying to show off my
Watch 7.
But anyway, now from a business standpoint, are you seeing a lot of increased interest, in the A series from a lot of consumers in the market?
So from a business standpoint, so the way we operate, yes, we have our regular customers who we call our B2C customers, but then our corporate customers who could be from any industry, they could be NGOs, they could be SMEs, they could be any form of organization. There is demand for our products across the entire range, not only the A series, but what we would see and we're experiencing is that there's a demand for mid-tier to high-level performance, because again, when it comes to corporate sales or enterprise sales, not everyone can play at the very high level. Because some of these purchases or procurements and deployments are in thousands of devices. So they need a middle ground product that still performs well. You need a middle ground product that's also, from an IT standpoint, because IT manages those devices. Can it be, how long do we have support for software updates, especially security updates? How long do we have support for operating system updates? So when they look for those things, we are very capable of actually going straight in and recommending this range and saying this already gives you everything that you need. So whether they're purchasing this under what we call BYOD for staff, or whether they're buying as corporate-owned devices, maybe I'm buying this and we're doing... It's a government office and we're doing data collection or surveys. So I can probably opt for A26. Very good value for money, very large screen. So if someone is accessing an application to do with that particular project, very easy to manipulate, edit, review data. Imagine someone comes to you with this phone and tells you, we need to collect data, fill this form. Just do it on the smartphone. So we're able to give that value proposition even to our enterprise customers or B2B customers.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad you spoke about security, software, because Samsung is promising us 6 years of security and OS updates, on the S series. That's actually very huge. 6 years is actually very huge. Why is actually this long-term support really important in the Kenyan context?
Yeah. So first of all, comparatively, other brands will typically do almost 2 to 3 years. Yeah. If they stretch it, about 4 years. So we're up to 6 years. So 6 years of operating system upgrades. So when the new Android version comes, up to those 6 years, that already tells you one thing. The life cycle of the devices is actually pretty long. If you take care of them well, you can actually extend into those 6 years of usage. That's also what we're trying to tell you, is that if we're able to support it for 6 years, the device is able to stay with you for up to those 6 years. For smartphones, maybe people might not keep them for a whole 6 years, but it is possible. Now, if you look at the enterprise space, if I'm a company, I don't want to change the 10,000 devices I've bought in the next year. If I can get 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, then that makes a lot more economic sense. Now, that is for us in the Kenyan context, but also for the regular customer. With increasing costs of living, with all the challenges we have, I think the upgrade cycles that we're familiar with globally of 1 year, a few months, will start to change locally. People will want to invest in a phone that they can keep longer. And for you, the hardware is pretty much very solid for quite a period of time. But the software environment is what's really, really important. And that's why we're putting a lot of investment and effort in making sure that stays up to date for as long as possible. So that longevity of use, we want to give you the best value for money for the longest period of time. That is there.
And I know, of course, you mentioned that you're bringing a lot of AI features, like, of course, the ones you mentioned. Of course, some of them I've used myself, and of course, you're not getting all the AI features, for example, you have on the flagships. So maybe could you just take us through some of the AI features that come on the A series?
So with the A series, most of the AI, actually we're calling the AI features on the new A series awesome intelligence.
Oh yes.
So that's actually the tag around that, and anything to do with the A series, actually our whole campaign is the awesome squad. And awesome intelligence. So awesome intelligence consists of a couple of things. So of course we have a very strong partnership as a brand with Google and Gemini. So all the Gemini features are there by default. So the first one, of course, that comes to play is the circle to search, which makes things very easy. Most people have experienced this and will continue to experience it. Then, of course, we bring in the object eraser. Now, these phones in particular for Samsung, we tend to target them here locally towards the youth market, especially. Not that they cannot be purchased by other demographics, but the youth market as well, because these are phones that are used a lot for content creation. So if you have AI features like Object Eraser, where you can actually edit out very smoothly certain elements from a photo, you can really get your content out there faster. And Samsung's Object Eraser, I know Object Erasers exist for other brands, but Samsung's Object Eraser has proven to be one of the most accurate out there, especially in filling in the gap of space. And then you have other features that could still come in handy. So even the browser assist, where it's able to summarize what content is on a web page and give you a nice summary of it, you can do that. You've got the auto trim feature I talked about for videography, where it just selects the highlights out of a video. Then it gives you a really summarized, nice compressed video that you can post out. So you don't have to go, put it on an app and select different frames to cut out or reduce the time. It will just use AI to understand where are the highlight points of this video as well. Then you've got a really nice feature called Best Face. Again, you can see how they're angled towards that sort of creation element on the A series. So Best Face, what Best Face does is, I'm sure you've taken group photos before, and then you review the photo, like someone's eyes was closed, or someone had a funny face, and you have to take the photo again. So what Best Face does, it takes a series of photos, then it selects which photos have people with the most idyllic faces. So you don't get those funny faces and have to shoot multiple times. Yeah. So those are some of the core AI features that are there. Again, separated from what's in the S line. Of course, the S line has a lot broader scope of it, but we have given you more than enough, at least to give you that creation experience and multimedia experience that is really geared towards the A series.
Interesting. I mean, there are still quite a number of them actually, because that's still enough, which is just what now common consumer like me would actually use. Yeah. And now, of course, one of the biggest major thing we've seen on these phones is the design language. Totally new, totally changed from previous models. And actually, they almost look all the same, actually, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for you to tell these actually the A26. Unless now check on the features.
The screen sizes are also quite big. They're all 6.7 inch.
Exactly.
Which is really good for content consumption. Yeah.
So let's take us through that design language, and talk about the build and performance and everything.
Yeah. So in terms of the design language, again, what we've done is we're trying to have a very consistent design language across our full lineup. Where many years ago, on this range, it'd be a very massive difference between how an S phone looked and how an A phone looked. But what we are seeing is that customers locally and even globally, they want to hold and carry a good-looking smartphone. Premium design, premium look and feel is really important these days. And you'll see it across brands. But what we've done with the A series is also ensure that we have a lot of durability around this product. So the A56 that I used, I told you that I think if you remember, I mentioned that I was not using any covers on it. So it was on purpose. So I was testing the durability of it. So the phone did fall a couple of times. I did not get any screen breakage, but because you've got the metal body around it, it's really strong and sturdy. It really absorbs a lot of the impact. I know definitely people would put covers on these phones, but if you're to be a renegade like I am, you can still manage to keep this phone running quite effectively.
I rarely use phone covers as well.
Yeah, I like to actually just showcase the actual design of the phone. Yeah, so that design language consistency is going to be there. Across the board. Where you start to see a bit of a small difference, but again, not very massive, is now when you go into the entry segment A models like the A06 and the A16. Performance-wise, I mean, you've got the best processors that you have out there. These are running on the Exynos processors. You've got variations of 128 and 256 GB in this market. So you can either get the 8 256 GB or the 6 128 GB variations. And also, of course, you've got very large batteries on this. Again, optimized for long-term use. I think you've had good experience with the A56, I would assume.
Yes.
Of course, we've got fast charging on those. So pretty much in terms of hardware, just like I said, in terms of hardware, the package is already there. It's a matter of how do we give that value-added experience to the customer. And that's why we've thrown in the AI experience. That's why we have improved the design language as well. That's why we've put bigger screens with really high refresh rates as well. So again, if you're into gaming, if you're consuming video on this, the refresh rates are really high. Up to around 120 hertz on one of these models. So in terms of the smoothness of the content that's displaying on the screen, it's actually really good. So I think I sometimes I even worry that I can oversell the A56 and people end up not buying the S25. So it shows you how good the product is.
Exactly. And trust me, I'm glad you mentioned that. Is because one thing, I mean, having used Samsung products for years, one thing I know Samsung has never gone wrong with has to be the display.
Yeah, definitely.
Trust me, Samsung has the best displays in the market. And actually, I know actually Samsung sells display to a lot of other brands.
Definitely,
we do. Why are such features so important for Samsung as a brand, even just having them come to the A series?
I mean, so for us, it's always a play on innovation. So every single product that we set out to launch must have a step up in innovation, one way or the other, even at the entry level. A lot more of it is more aggressive in this stage, where we're in the mid to high and in the flagship. But having that level of innovation keeps us ahead of the curve. So if you were to look at the display, if I opened a photo here versus another product, then you'd clearly see a very big difference. So with the displays, the color variation, the color tones, Super AMOLED displays were able to deliver really bright and sharp colors. Yeah, and that's not only on the smartphones but the tablets as well. When you get into the wearables, still innovation is a big thing. So we're both wearing watch 7s.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're now into the watch 8.
Yes.
And again, talking of innovation, we have actually trickled down what we were talking about some months ago on the S25, agentic AI. It's now on the watch 8, where I can simply give the watch an instruction, via voice, and then it's able to do multiple steps. So for us, that's really important, not only to stay ahead of the curve and the competition, but to also keep the customer engaged and accessible to the technology that's developing out there. Okay. So we like to believe ourselves as your gateway to the technology experiences that are actually evolving. Basically in the general market around the world.
Yep. And of course, these are mid-range devices. And of course, as we know, Kenya is always, I always say, even tell my friends, Kenya is a market of pricing, right? So pricing is a very important factor. And that's why mid-range phones really sell. And that's where the A series devices actually fall. So, how does the A series now strike that balance between affordability and offering premium experience to consumers?
Yeah, definitely. So this devices, where you're looking at depending on the variant of storage and memory, you're looking anywhere between 33 to 56. That's quite a nice broad range. And actually, like you say, in this market, it has actually really evolved into a mid-segment market. Before it was an entry segment market. Even the other brands have shifted. And even globally, there's that shift. At least in a majority of the developing markets. The developed markets are now just fixed on the higher range. So for us, we understand the affordability factor. So even if you were to compare with the outgoing models, there isn't a very massive price difference or gap. Second of all, accessibility is really important to us. So, of course, as you may be aware, we have device financing partners, which include the likes of Watu Simu and M-Copper. So you can get these devices on a device financing scheme. You pay a deposit. So I believe actually like the A56, the 6128 deposit is 19.5. So instead of paying that full 56, you might not have 56,000 today. Then you pay a weekly payment for that. So with that, we're saying if you want to be able to access this device today, you can do so with a deposit amount. Of course, it is a bit higher on these products compared to the other entry-level products they sell. But there is that affordability aspect that we've introduced. So with either through Watu Simu, M-Copper, and even with other device financiers like Loop, we also work with. Loop, So we're continuing to grow that space. As a matter of fact, we're continuing to see how we can introduce these mid-range products into that device financing space more aggressively. Before, we actually never used to have these mid-range products. We only used to focus on the entry at the device financing level, but we've seen that there's demand for it. So that's how we're addressing the affordability aspect of it. And also trying to, as we introduce new models, we're also trying to harmonize the pricing so that even as we give you more new technology, of course there'll be maybe some slight increments, but we're not going to have very massive gaps in price points.
But Andrew, they always see, even as much as you'll see people complaining about pricing, it's the value you're getting from that device. For people who care, for example, about updates like me, 6 years what a long time. And when you have a premium device like that with that kind of design and well built, that's a phone that can last you for even more than 4 years or even 5 years. Actually, if you keep it nicely, And now I'm just curious to know, now for business users, are there any? Of course, you mentioned them, but are there any current bundles in? You could go into details, for example, trade-ins, financing options, maybe just touch more on that as well. Any partnership, of course, with retailers or telcos,
Yeah. So one thing that I like that you said the value for money experience, because actually it is very true. And what we've seen is even with our regular consumers, we saw something a few months ago that customers are actually getting more aggressive in terms of demanding software updates. So we get customers asking us a lot of time, when is One UI 7 coming for my device? So that has become the new thing. Like, when can I get the new software update? Before,
actually, people never used to care about this.
They used to care. It used to be very passive. Oh, there's a software update.
Exactly.
Now people are beginning to understand. There's a lot more information out there. People are beginning to understand that my phone can be upgraded to the next operating system or to the next software update, and I will get a slightly different experience from what I'm having. So we're already seeing that shift in mentality from, I just want a cheap device, but I want a device that can be progressively updating itself and staying relevant. Now, for the enterprise customers, we sort of right now we work with our distributors who have their own partners. They could be IT resellers, systems integrators, and that's how we get that sort of customer base of business customers. For them, of course, depending on the volume of orders they want to place, depending on the use case, we're able to deliver a product to them at a particular price point. Now, in the corporate space, in the regular market, you operate with RRPs. In the corporate space, there's a lot of room for negotiation and adjustment of these things. So we're able to tailor make a solution for you in terms of the device, and then point you towards the right distribution or wholesaler channels, of which we have wholesaler partners, system integrators, resellers who are able to deliver the product to the end customer. So that's how we work. We are still developing some schemes and systems to work with operators to create bundled offers, not only like for operators product and maybe their data solutions, but also with our own security systems as well. Which is where the NOx discussion comes into play, for enterprise management of the devices.
Okay. And I'm going to talk about NOx, security and all those things. How does now this A series? Because there are people actually who are ecosystem people. Like, I want to use a Samsung phone, I want a Samsung tablet, I want everything to be Samsung. So how does this A series now fit into just the large ecosystem? You're talking about pairing with tablets, wearables, smart things.
Definitely. So the ecosystem element is also a really important thing for us, because we want to just keep all these experiences within the same family. So for me, for example, my ecosystem already exists. So I've got the watch, I've got the tab. This is a Tab A9 Plus, nice. Very trusty entry-level tablet that I've been using, and of course my S25. So of course there's interconnectivity between all of them, which can be done with the Smart Things app. So even if you have a smart TV at home, so if you wanted to screen mirror this and share the screen between the tablet and the smart TV, you can, and even some of our monitors. We do actually have monitors now in the market, and the smartphones as well. So
we have the monitors.
Yeah, we do have monitors now.
Nice.
So we introduced them a few months ago. So we have monitors for work, simple monitors, and also the big gaming monitors, the curved ones. So you can actually, through the applications like Smart Things, you can actually add all these devices into one account and then be able to share information between them. So if you're sending files, it's all really easy and effortless. It's a simple drag and drop kind of situation. If it's a smartwatch, is 100% compatible with this new A series and even the A series models below. Through there's the Galaxy Wear app, and you're able to use all these devices seamlessly. So that interconnectivity, that interplay exists fully for us, and it's a lot more productive now when you get into the tablet space, even though we're not talking about the tablets now. But imagine being able to actually just transform this tablet into a sort of desktop experience. So you change the whole user interface and it becomes like a desktop computer. So you have a start button, you have files and folders you can put. So that's the DeX mode, desktop experience mode on the tablet. Then you mirror that onto a screen and you have a keyboard on the side. So you have a whole work setup. And beside that, you still have the phone. And when you connect these two, for example, you can still answer your phone call off the tablet. So this this phone could be in another room, but since it's already connected to this and synced to this, I could answer the call on the tablet. Yeah. So that interplay and interconnectivity is something that I think we know is a very low-hanging fruit. So we're also going to be educating customers on this a bit more aggressively as we go into the next year as well.
Yeah. Because I'm glad you're talking about educating, because I think the customer right now has really evolved. Customers are asking questions. They want to know security. They want to know all these things.
Yeah.
When you talk about security, how are the enterprise tools like Knox, MDMs, just evolving to support teams using the devices, the A-series devices actually?
Yeah. So for us, security is quite a multi-layered thing. So first and foremost, when you hear Knox is Samsung's very own security architecture. So it's two things. It's a security architecture platform that exists within the devices. It's built into the hardware at the chip level and also the software level. So it protects both the hardware and software level. Now, Knox as a security platform also has a solutions element to it, cloud solutions, which is now the Knox suite. Yeah. So by default, your devices are protected and secured by Knox. But now if I put these devices, 10,000 A56, into a government institution, what's the biggest worry? Loss, misuse. Yeah. So how do you manage those? What's another worry is probably I don't even know where these devices are. So I have no asset intelligence over them. So what we have is a suite of cloud-based solutions that allow you as an enterprise or as an organization to secure the devices, of course from a cybersecurity perspective, to deploy them actively. So deployment means out of the 10,000, how am I going to issue out and create all the accounts for each and every user and be able to track and manage them on a cloud system, deploy them, then manage them. This is an MDM component, then analyze them. So I can look at all 10,000 of them and see the metrics. How is the device performing, etc. Troubleshoot. And to another extent, I can actually have this device is fully customized to say, for example, if this phone was being sold to, let's say, the Parliament of Kenya. So when you boot up the screen, switch on the phone, it actually loads up with the logo of the organization. Then it goes into a kiosk mode, for instance, where you can only use specific applications. You cannot do anything else on the phone. So that is our suite of solutions. So when I say suite of solutions, it's different packages for different purposes. So we have what's called a Knox base plan, which is very basic. It's actually at zero cost, but gives you very basic level of control of our device. Then you have an essentials plan and an enterprise plan. And within those essentials and enterprise plans, then you have a very robust mobile device management solution called Knox Manage. Now, Knox Manage is the power tool now for controlling these devices, where I can lock the use of the camera. I can block, if you remove the SIM card, I can lock, the device can automatically lock. I can set so many controls, or what they call policies, on the devices depending on the environment of use. And that allows me as an organization to either ensure that the asset is being used for the right thing. So if this were being given to maybe council workers or maybe data collectors, I don't want them to be out in the field spending 90% of their time on TikTok. And I can lock that out entirely. And even if they were, I'll get asset intelligence in the back end that shows me this is what's happening. If a device is performing poorly, maybe the battery is discharging a lot, I'll get that asset intelligence from it. So those solutions, being the MDM solutions, are very powerful tools for IT and for business, for managing and ensuring proper use, but also securing the assets, because you can do location tracking, of course. To an extent, you can geofence where devices are used. So if you leave this particular area, let's say if you leave Krishna Center today and you're an employee, then it will lock out certain features or aspects of the device until you come back into the particular area. So there's such a massive set of controls that you can implement. Then you look at that capability and you look at the different verticals or industries you can be in, then you're able to actually tailor-make an experience or a solution that adds value to the business. Because many businesses, maybe especially a few SMEs that might not be very aware, will purchase the devices and say, that's it, we're done. The application is running, perfect. Give it to the people. Yeah. The device gets lost. It's used for other things. It's exposed. People go onto websites, download applications, get exposed to malware and certain threats. So with these systems, you're able to lock that down. They are license-based solutions, so customers pay a license for it. And then they're able to do all those levels of controls.
Okay, so that misconception that, for me to experience these features, I have to buy a flagship.
Not at all.
So Samsung actually bring all of them to the A series as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Just recently, we saw Samsung being ranked, your market share, you are now number one. We actually have that story in our drafts. We actually have a separate podcast episode on that.
It's the drafts.
Yes, on how Samsung has risen to be the number one. Actually, we currently stand at number one, the market share in the Kenyan market. Do you believe this device at the A series, what is going to contribute to actually Samsung continue growing the market share growing, the devices, people even showing more interest in purchasing devices in the A series?
I think so, definitely. Any market share growth that's coming for the brand, of course, will be related to the new products that are coming out.
Yeah.
But also, if you look at it more holistically, beyond just the products that we're selling, the A series, the S, if we look at these other product lines, the tablets, the wearables, they give us quite a significant competitive advantage. If you look at the market right now, even if you look at the local market, where is the focus? It's mostly the smartphones.
Yeah.
But we as Samsung are able to deliver smartphone, tablet, in multiple ranges, wearables, multiple ranges, and then the smartphones, multiple ranges. Then on top of that, enterprise solutions. So comparatively, like the way I've explained to you, there's very few brands that actually have, in the mobile space, that have the device and then have an enterprise management solution or MDM for that. So those other avenues of the business, those other product lines will continue to bolster up whatever we're doing in terms of bringing in new products and new innovations into the market. Which is why for us, yes, we have the new A series, but we're also really looking into how we can grow the other segments just as aggressively, then that casts our net much wider. Because again, A series is perfect, it's great, but the way the market is now, it's extremely competitive. So it has to be very diversified. So, and I believe we have quite a lead with the A series with that, but then with the other segment of products and now solutions that we're able to bring into the market, that step up is going to be increased.
I actually love that because I've also seen you guys go very aggressive, even with the consumer electronics, part of the business. You guys have been going aggressive, of course the competition is there, but, you guys are really pushing and, seeing the kind of ideas you're putting in the market, working with partners, brand, everyone else that's working with Samsung. We see them not try to push the whole Samsung, but that's why it's working. That's why you're seeing there's people talking about Samsung as a brand, and everywhere you meet, like the kind of feedback you're getting from the A series is very interesting. I'm just curious, what kind of feedback are you getting from consumer from this particular A series? Forget the predecessor for these ones. What kind of feedback are you getting from?
So I think one of it's a lot of the things we've already talked about. A lot of customers are really happy with the design and the look and feel of this product. They're really happy with the improvements in the camera, especially like the A56. Immediately, when you get people who've used the A56, they talk very highly of the camera. I had a situation once where I was next to someone. I was at a running event. I was next to someone and they shot a group photo with an S23, and then I shot it with the A56. He asked me, "What phone is that?" It's an A56. You're not serious. I have an S. But anyway, at the same time, there's certain things to do with. I was shooting in pro mode, so that could have been a difference. But again, people are really happy with the camera experience. They're really happy that we're able to give them some of the AI features we introduced to the S range. And they're also really happy that we're able to give them that software and OS upgrade support. So even that, when we've been sensitizing people about it, they get very impressed by it. Because telling people, even forget the security updates, telling them that you have 6 generations of operating system upgrades always excites people. Because every new Android update, everyone gets excited about it. So, and people just are seeing this as really good value for money? Yes, definitely, because we know what the market is. You are paying a bit more than other options there. But are you paying for a stronger product, performance-wise, hardware-wise, experience-wise, design-wise? Yes, definitely. Yeah. So I think it's been overwhelmingly positive so far. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. I know there's so much to talk about the A series in general. So in short, your favorite is the A56.
And for me, what I really pride myself in is I try to use every single product. So I've also used the entry level products as well. But where I know I've had a consistent history, multiple devices, A series. So A54, I had that. A55, I had that. A56, used that. S25 Plus, that's where I am now.
Right.
So I mean, it's totally worth the experience.
And interestingly, I've also used the A50s. Only actually, I've never used anything below that. No A36. No, actually, I've used the F, and actually, my experience has always been very interesting. So seeing the upgrades you make, the design language changing, because this looks very premium actually.
Yeah,
it's very
even
premium.
at the A26 level, A36.
Yeah, actually very exciting. And we're actually shooting for the wide angle shot of this podcast. We are shooting it using the Galaxy A56, which, as I said earlier, is what I'm using now as my daily driver. I've been using it for the last. Actually, this is my second month right now, and of course, I'm going to have my review coming up in a couple of weeks. So there's still so much to talk about that phone. And as we wind up, where can people buy this phone, and just any closing remarks?
Yeah, so definitely you can purchase them from any of our Samsung Experience stores countrywide. We have about 22 odd stores countrywide. You can purchase, if you are interested in purchasing them on a device financing perspective, there are a variety of dealers. If you go into the CBD, you will find them. Who are able to sell the product to you via Watu, Simu, or via M-Copper. That's possible as well. And a variety of our retail outlets also within the CBD. But if you want to experience a product, first of all, to touch, feel, play around with it, I would direct you straight to our Samsung Experience store. So in any of the major malls, we're actually there, countrywide, and you can get to play and touch the devices and just get a feel of them before you make that very clever purchase.
Yes, clever purchase is very important.
So I think, and just closing remarks, of course, we have some really great stuff still coming. The year is not over.
Yes.
A series is done for now in terms of this mid to high, but in the entry segment, there's new stuff coming. With the watches, we're already here. With the S series, there's something new coming as well. With the tablets, again, I told you diversity. Quite a few new tablets coming as well.
Great.
So we're geared up to close the year strong with our customers as well.
All right. And of course, we look forward to experiencing those devices, and of course having you here as well, to talk about this device. As I said, Samsung is our friend, here at TechTrends. So we're always open to welcoming you to talk about what you're building, what you're working on. And of course, as you say, the year is it still young?
It's 5 months. 5 months.
5 months, So the year is, of course, so there's so much to expect, from Samsung, just before the year. So I think that's it for this episode. Thank you so much, Ryan, for finding time and joining us, at the studio for this episode. And of course, as I said, there's still so much to talk about. We have so much content coming up on the Galaxy A56 and all the other Galaxy devices in the A series, and still so much conversation to talk about Samsung as well before the year ends. Thank you so much for watching these episodes. My name is Nixon Kanali. I'll see you in the next one.